that the greatest potential is not in all this back office stuff. It's not in the same institutions doing what they've always been doing with a little bit better technical systems that allow them to save some money. That's definitely not worth all the ink that's been spilled and all the time that's been spent discussing blockchain technology. What's really going to be interesting is, does it allow new ways of governing organizations, decentralized organizations that are worldwide that use very different frameworks? And that depends on them actually being governed well themselves. I think these other issues of scalability and privacy and security can be overcome if the project is well governed. One example is early in Bitcoin's history, there was an error in the code which would allow you to spend someone else's Bitcoin. And the whole point of Bitcoin is that you can't spend someone else's Bitcoin. This would have destroyed the network. But luckily enough for them, the person who found it out had invested a lot of money in Bitcoin mining equipment that would have been useless if the market, if Bitcoin went to zero. Therefore, he reported it to 2 people who then updated the software, and they managed to cross that. But that's not a decentralized model of governance. That is an extremely centralized model with a couple people that make the decisions. It's not functionally, and the issue is that that kind of model doesn't scale. Once Bitcoin becomes bigger, once there are more participants in the network, more types of participants in the network, it gets harder to coordinate them. So if you consider now how Bitcoin has dealt with the scalability issues, it's been a complete mess. They have, some groups have split off and created their own version of the blockchain, and it seems to be impossible to coordinate them. So they'll have to deal with these issues well to be able to have these new decentralized organizations that could be much more impactful. And another side is, we talk a little bit about smart contracts and automation, but the fact is that code has a hard time interacting with the real world. The real world is messy, the real world doesn't have discrete 1 and 0 outcomes, and you're gonna need a whole set of governance outside the blockchain to be able to handle these. So if you think about Bitcoin, for example, it does a really good job of sending the value without a trusted intermediary. However, there's usually something else on the other side of that transaction. You're receiving some value, receiving a service, and you have to trust the other counterparty to do that. The technical system doesn't fully solve these problems. And so far, the intermediaries in the blockchain space make Lehman look quite good.